Needs You with your over-enthusiastic host, Kazmira. I've been hearing a lot of really awesome positive feedback on my video that I did last time, both on person and in line, so I just want to say that you guys are super rad and I love you all. Thank you so much for watching and contributing to the feedback. I appreciate you. So, last time, for those of you that haven't seen my previous video, which you totally can, just go over there to the links. Is it over there to the links? Over there? Over there. Some do go both ways. Anyway, for those of you that haven't seen my previous video, I talked a lot about what rape looks like, what it is, how it happens, and how often it happens, but I didn't really talk about why it's such a huge problem and why you should care about it. I mean, because right now you're probably asking yourself, well, what is it? What's the big deal? Why does everybody get so worked up about it? I thought that we all agreed that sexual assault sucked, but apparently some people don't really understand that. Some people think that it's just sex. No, just no. You cannot have non-consensual sex, and I don't just mean that it's immoral to have non-consensual sex, I mean it's literally impossible. You can't do it. Consent is built into the concept of sex. It's a part of it. It's an inherent piece of the sexual experience. Any sexual activity without consent becomes rape because that's how words work. And I'm not sure who said this first, but I saw it on Tumblr and it's always kind of stuck with me, is that you don't say non-breathing swimming and swimming, you say swimming and drowning. Same principle. So, now that we've established that sex and rape are not remotely the same category of action, let's take a look at why this is such a huge, absolutely devastating thing to happen to anybody, and why it's really a public health issue that everybody should care about.
Before we go any further, I just want to put it out there that there's no one correct way to be a survivor. These symptoms of trauma are common, but they're not universal. So if you've experienced sexual assault and you're not feeling this, it doesn't mean that your experiences aren't important and valid. A survivor is a survivor, and you deserve justice and support in whatever form makes the most sense for you.
When somebody goes through an invasive experience like rape or sexual assault, they're pretty much completely at war with themselves. There are a lot of things that happen in the body and the brain that create an unhealthy kind of inner environment for that person to exist in. There can be an all-consuming feeling of rage or guilt or confusion or shame so heavy that it makes you dizzy. There's this deep, bottomless sense of physical repulsion that can eat you alive. It can feel like something crawled inside you and latched on. I've known women that spent hours in the shower after an assault trying to scrub their skin raw because they just couldn't feel clean anymore. Some people feel like they're totally powerless, like there's no way they could ever trust anyone ever again, or be strong ever again, or be healed ever again. There's nightmares, insomnia, flashbacks, panic attacks, fear of large crowds or being alone, constant anxiety that consumes your entire thought process, and depression so heavy that you can't get out of bed in the morning. There's physical and emotional numbness that take you completely out of your own life and your own relationships. There's compulsive, reckless behavior, binge drinking, or unhealthy sexual behaviors like not using condoms or toxic drug use. These are symptoms that can manifest themselves directly after a trauma. A lot of these can extend for extremely long periods of time, especially without a good support system or talk therapy. Even with proper support and people to love them and care for them and support them, survivors can still develop extremely detrimental mental illnesses that affect their entire lives. The most common of which are depression, anxiety with panic disorders, eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, EDNOS, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified, and binge eating disorder. All of these come side by side with comorbidities. These can be things like self-harm, inability to trust anybody, poor boundary setting, sexual dysfunction, and attempted or completed suicide. And yes, this stuff happens in all sexual abuses, even if it wasn't a violent rape, even if there are no bruises or broken bones. we're looking at 30% of the US population that is at an extremely high risk of developing a debilitating, life-consuming mental illness solely because of how common sexual abuse is. And even if they don't have a full-on mental illness, survivors can still struggle with forming healthy relationships, setting and enforcing personal boundaries, focusing at work, succeeding in school, or just moving forward in their lives. In other words, a friggin' third of the population is being conditioned by trauma to risk their health, their lives, and their futures. They're being trained by an unsympathetic society to think that they're not worth keeping safe, that they're not worth saving, and that their boundaries aren't worth enforcing or respecting because nobody ever has. It's not that there aren't survivors who are happy and leading full, fulfilling, happy lives, because there are. It's just that most of the time, that happiness is gonna take huge amounts of work. Talk therapy, medication, a great support system. You really do have to change a lot. And the thing is that no matter how much work that person does, they're never going to not be a survivor. You never really go back to being the same person you were before that assault. There's this myth going around that rape somehow makes you less valuable or less desirable, or that dealing with trauma, lashing out in recklessness or depression or whatever, dealing with that trauma somehow makes you weak. It doesn't. It means that you're working through whatever terrible thing was done to you, and you deserve a round of applause and a year's worth of free Taco Bell. And you know what? Even if you're not a survivor, you should care about this. You should care about this because we're talking about the worldwide suffering of millions of people. You should care because it's happening right here, right now, in your backyard. You should care because if you take away the sexual trauma of literally a third of the population, society as a whole gets a hell of a lot more functional. You should care because it's literally your choice to stop it. And you can stop it. It's in your hands. It's your choice to make sure that nobody has to suffer under the weight of that horrible thing being done to them. We are not everyone for themselves here. Don't let that mentality ruin our generation's chances of living a healthy life free from sexual abuse and victim blaming. We are so much better than that. Can you imagine what the world would be like if 30% of us didn't have to spend years of our lives recovering from our traumas? Imagine what we could accomplish if we weren't subjected to life-stealing torture. We're the ones that get to create our own culture. So let's create one that stomps out acquaintance rape instead of fostering it. We have to be our own heroes. Don't let those ugly, evil people steal this world from us. This is our place. This is our campus. Our family. So come on, you glorious cape-wearing bastards, campus needs you! If any of these symptoms have resonated with you, or you think you may have been the victim of a sexual assault, you can always start the report process here at Ferris by reporting to any responsible employee, or if you don't want to report but you just want to talk things out, go to the Burkham Center. For those of you that aren't FSU kids, you can check in at rainn.org, RAINN.org. And I'm here too if you want to talk. Take care of yourselves, you guys. I love you, heroes. Thanks for watching.